You know that feeling, right? That sudden uncomfortable sting when you're turned down. Maybe it was that dream job interview that just went silent.
Yeah.
Or like a romantic interest who ghosted you out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Long-time friend who drift, or even just some small social thing that felt totally flat. That specific pang of rejection, it hits differently, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's universal. We all feel it. But here's the real question we're diving into today. How do we not just, survive these moments?
Yeah.
How do we actually heal stronger
Yeah.
and turn that sting into something that, well, moves us forward?
Exactly. And, rejection is such a profoundly human experience. It's really deeply rooted in our fundamental need for social connection, for acceptance. Psychologically, even neurologically, when we feel excluded, it triggers these powerful emotional responses: sadness, frustration, self-doubt. It isn't just feeling bad. Your brain actually registers it almost like a threat, because historically our survival literally depended on being part of the group. So that pain reflects the huge value we place on our bonds, our goals. It's very, very real.
And that's exactly our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack why rejection hurts so much, but also we'll kind of dissect some common, maybe unhelpful ways our minds react.
Right. The automatic responses.
Yeah. And then we want to arm you with practical strategies backed by psychological insights to navigate rejection gracefully. This isn't just about coping. It's really about transforming these tough moments into a powerful catalyst for real personal growth. So get ready to maybe rethink how you see being turned down.
Okay, let's really get into this then. If rejection is so incredibly common, like everyone goes through it, why does it hit us so hard? And is this, I don't know, like a predictable emotional path we tend to follow?
That's a crucial place to start. First, it's just so vital to stress that rejection is common. It happens to literally everyone. Me, my experience talking to people over the years, this idea that something is wrong with you if you get rejected. It's such a pervasive myth, but it's just not true.
Yeah. Whether it's, like you said, getting ghosted after a date or passed over for a promotion, or the deep pain of a relationship ending. You are absolutely not alone in that. It isn't some flaw in you. It's just part of interacting with other people in, well, a complex world. And yes, there often is a kind of predictable emotional journey. We can actually adapt that framework, the 5 stages of grief, to understand these responses better. You might feel denial at first, like this can't be happening. It's a sort of temporary buffer.
Okay.
Then anger often surfaces. Maybe at yourself, maybe at the other person, maybe just the situation.
Yeah, I can see that.
After that, there's often bargaining. Your mind replays it. If only I'd said this, or if only I'd done that differently.
Like the what ifs.
Exactly. Then, as the reality sinks in, sadness or depression can set in. It reflects that genuine loss or disappointment. And finally, the goal is reaching acceptance, acknowledging it happened and starting to see how you can maybe grow from it. Just recognizing these stages can be incredibly helpful. It protects your self-worth, fosters self-compassion, because you realize, okay, what I'm feeling is normal. It's not weakness. And back to your point about why it hurts so deeply, beyond that primitive wiring for belonging.
Yeah.
Modern neuroscience actually shows that social pain, like rejection, lights up some of the same brain regions as physical pain, like the anterior cingulate cortex.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not just, in your head. Your brain is literally registering it as painful, as a threat to your well-being. Because historically, being excluded was dangerous. That feeling hits that ancient part of us that screams, danger, you're alone.
That's fascinating. So it's not just emotional. It's literally registered as pain in our brains.
Okay.
But then our minds start playing tricks on us. And this is where it gets really interesting. Our minds try to protect us, but sometimes those attempts backfire and keep us stuck. What are some of those common mental traps we fall into?
Okay, this is probably the biggest one. Immediately linking the rejection to your fundamental self-worth. Your mind just spirals. Thoughts like, I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy, or what's fundamentally wrong with me pop up.
Oh yeah, those feel very real in the moment.
They do, especially if you already struggle with self-esteem. They get incredibly loud. But here's the critical thing. These thoughts are not facts. Your worth isn't dependent on someone else's opinion or external outcomes. We create this faulty brain formula, this rejection, I'm not good enough. It's a cognitive distortion, basically.
Right.
The more you can see how illogical that equation actually is, the less power it has. It's about learning to observe your thoughts, not automatically believe them. They're interpretations, narratives, not objective truth.
That faulty brain formula is so insidious. I think almost everyone recognizes that thought pattern. How do you actually, train your brain to see that I'm not good enough thought with more neutrality when it feels so true?
Well, it definitely takes practice, like any skill. It involves developing what psychologists call cognitive diffusion.
Cognitive diffuse.
Yeah, basically separating yourself from your thoughts.
Hmm.
So instead of thinking, I am worthless, you consciously shift it to, I am having the thought that I am worthless. That small change in language creates distance. It reminds you, you are not your thoughts. You're the one noticing them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh.
Creating distance was another common pitfall.
Another big one is the lure of impulsive behaviors. When we feel bad, we often crave instant gratification to numb the pain or escape the discomfort. I've seen it so many times. Someone gets ghosted and like minutes later, they're not just swiping furiously on dating apps. They might even reach out to an ex they know isn't good for them, just for that quick hit of validation. Or they're obsessively checking social media, hoping for any tiny sign of connection. These actions, while totally understandable, often lead to more pain later if they aren't actually aligned with your deeper values. They're mostly just avoidance tactics.
That quick fix is so tempting, though. Okay, so beyond those immediate impulsive reactions, what about how we tell the story, the narrative we build around the rejection? I imagine that can keep us stuck, too.
Oh, absolutely. Then there's this tendency to create really extreme narratives about the person who rejected us. On one side, you might put them on a pedestal,
Right.
remembering only the good stuff, convincing yourself they were the one, your soulmate. You'll never find anyone like them.
Yeah, the idealization trap.
Exactly. And that keeps you stuck in this idealized past. But on the other end, you might totally demonize them, focus only on their flaws, feel completely justified in your anger and resentment.
The villain narrative.
Right. And that can keep you paralyzed in bitterness. It almost doesn't matter which extreme is more true. Focusing rigidly on either prevents you from actually moving forward and seeing new possibilities. You're basically giving the rejection way too much power.
It really sounds like our minds, trying to cope, can accidentally build these cages for us blaming ourselves, fixating on the other person.
Mhm.
So if we're aware of these pitfalls now, what's the very first foundational step to actually break free and start actively healing?
The first and maybe hardest step is simply accepting that it is going to hurt for a while. Healing isn't instant. It requires this period of, well, difficulty. You have to give yourself permission to feel all those uncomfortable emotions, the sadness, the anger, the confusion, to actually grieve the loss, whether it was a relationship or an opportunity.
Right, not just try to push it down.
Exactly. Don't fall into that trap of thinking you need to just get over it immediately or that feeling pain is weakness. There's no set timeline for recovery. It's about what feels right for you. Just validating your own pain actually releases some of the struggle. It lets the real healing process begin.
That permission to hurt feels so crucial because we're often told, toughen up, move on. So once we've allowed ourselves that space to feel, where do we start rebuilding? Because when you're in that raw place, even basic stuff can feel huge.
Totally. So the next step is prioritizing self-care and just your basic needs. It sounds simple, maybe even cliche.
But it's important.
It's fundamental. It's often the first thing to go when we're hurting. Are you getting enough sleep? Or maybe too much? Try to engage in some kind of physical activity you actually enjoy, even just a walk outside or dancing in your living room. Nourish your body, drink water, and crucially, connect with supportive people.
Lean on your support system.
Yes, we are wired for connection. That's partly why rejection hurts so much. So replenish that need. Connect with friends, family, and also connect with yourself. Maybe through journaling, meditation, prayer, whatever works for you. Rediscover hobbies you've let slide. Oh, and be mindful of social media, especially if it triggers comparisons or that obsessive checking behavior.
Good point.
Remember, a small comfort food treat might feel like self-care in the moment, but weeks of isolating and just numbing out, that's probably avoidance. It's about knowing the difference for you.
It sounds like a return to the fundamentals, which makes total sense when everything feels shaken up.
Yeah.
But beyond the physical and social, how do we manage the emotional overwhelm? Because that flood of feelings is often the hardest part, right?
Absolutely. That's where cultivating emotion regulation skills becomes really key. First step, learn to identify and label your emotions. Just understanding what you're feeling and why it's there is huge. Studies actually show that people who can accurately name their emotions tend to move through difficult periods like depression faster.
Why is that? Just naming it.
Well, it seems to shift the processing from the purely emotional part of the brain, the limbic system, to the more rational part, the prefrontal cortex. It gives you a bit of distance and control just by naming it.
Okay, so just putting a name on the feeling, I'm feeling disappointed or I'm feeling angry, already helps. What's next after naming it? how do we understand it better? Maybe detach a bit.
The next step is to practice observing your emotions, like from a distance. Describing them helps create that separation. An emotion diary can be a really practical tool here. You jot down, what was the event? What emotions did I feel? How intense was it? What thoughts went with it? What did I feel in my body? What did I do?
Interesting.
When you record these details, you're engaging that logical prefrontal cortex again. It helps you step back from the emotional hijack and just observe the feeling rather than being totally consumed by it.
That journaling sounds really powerful for creating that distance.
Yeah, okay.
But what about when an emotion feels overwhelming, like a huge wave crashing over you? How do you ride that out?
Yeah, that's a great image. You learn to experience emotions like a wave. They come, they peak, and they eventually pass. The goal isn't to block them or suppress them, but also don't amplify them or cling to them. The key insight is really, you are not your emotion. You're the surfer, or maybe the beach, observing the wave.
I like that. You are not your emotion.
And while you observe, you can also take proactive steps to prevent getting overwhelmed in the first place, to stay out of what we sometimes call emotion mind.
Emotion mind.
Yeah, that state where feelings totally hijack your rational thinking. Prevention includes things like consistent physical health maintenance, doctor checkups, decent diet, regular exercise, enough sleep, and also consciously doing one thing each day, however small, that makes you feel competent and in control. It builds resilience.
So managing your baseline helps prevent the flood. But what if you're already caught in it? What are some immediate, in-the-moment techniques to get back on your feet?
Right. For immediate distress, you need quick tactics. First, just take a time out from whatever situation is overwhelming you. Step away. When those negative thoughts or angry feelings start swirling, literally tell yourself to stop. Out loud or in your head. It can interrupt the spiral.
Stop. Okay.
Then focus on calming your body. Count slowly to 10 or 100 if you need it. Get a glass of water. Take a short walk. Or simply take several slow, deep breaths. Diaphragmatic breathing really helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms you down. Once you feel a bit calmer, then you can reapproach the situation or the feeling with more clarity.
Those sound like practical lifesavers for those intense moments. And you mentioned anger earlier. It seems common after rejection, but often misunderstood. What's really going on under the surface with anger?
That's an excellent point. Anger often acts like a bodyguard for a more vulnerable, uncomfortable primary emotion.
A body?
Yeah, so for instance, if you feel really angry when someone seems too busy for you, the feeling underneath might actually be fear of abandonment or feeling unimportant. If you get furious when someone breaks an agreement, the primary feeling might be powerlessness or disrespect. If criticism enrages you, it might stem from feeling inadequate deep down.
Okay.
The anger itself is valid, it's often protective, but to truly process it and move forward, you need to gently backtrack and ask, okay, what was the first feeling, the one that felt too vulnerable to sit with? Identifying that deeper feeling, that's where the real healing work often lies.
This raises a really important question then. Beyond just managing the immediate pain and navigating the emotional waves, how do we truly use rejection as a springboard for deeper growth? Not just surviving, but actually thriving afterward.
This is where I think the profound power of self-compassion really comes into play.
Self-compassion, we hear that term a lot. What does it actually mean in this context?
It basically means treating yourself with the same kindness, the same understanding, the same support you'd naturally offer to a good friend who is going through the same thing. It involves recognizing that suffering and imperfection and rejection, they're all part of the shared human experience. You know, like the song says, everybody hurts. It's not just you.
Right.
It's about acknowledging your pain honestly, but without harsh judgment. It actually gives you the benefits of high self-esteem, feeling worthy, feeling capable, but without the downsides, because it's not dependent on external success or validation. It comes from within. There are three main parts to it. Self-kindness, which is being gentle with yourself instead of critical. Common humanity, which is remembering you're not alone in this. And mindfulness, which means holding your painful feelings in balance and awareness, not ignoring them, but not getting totally swept away by them either. And there's good research on this. Studies show self-compassion predicts more adaptive responses to rejection, less negative feelings, less depression. It helps restore those fundamental needs that rejection threatens. Belonging, self-esteem, control, meaning. And the best part is, it's a skill. It can be cultivated with practice. Even small, simple exercises can make a real difference over time.
Self-compassion sounds like the perfect antidote to that self-blame trap we talked about earlier. It makes so much sense. So once we start cultivating that internal kindness, how do we translate that into actively shaping our path forward, moving from internal processing to like concrete action.
Well, as you move forward, it's really helpful to build your own personal roadmap. Like, consciously decide how you want to respond. Get clear on your core values. How do you want to show up during this difficult time? Maybe write down some desired actions. I want to be kind to myself. I want to reach out for genuine support, not just vent. I want to focus on my other priorities, things that give me purpose or joy.
Like a plan.
Yeah, exactly. This roadmap becomes your guide. When you feel lost or unsure or tempted by those old unhelpful patterns like self-criticism or isolation, you look at your roadmap. It represents your conscious choice, not just an automatic reaction. It gives you agency back.
That roadmap idea feels really empowering. It's like taking the wheel back.
Yeah.
And what about the rejection itself? How do we find any meaning or value in something that feels so negative?
That comes down to reframing and actively looking for the value, even if it's small. Challenge those automatic negative thoughts. Ask yourself, is there any other way to see this? What's the actual evidence for my negative thought? What would I tell my best friend if they were in this situation?
Get some perspective.
Precisely. Consider less self-blaming explanations. Maybe it wasn't about you being flawed, but about the other person's circumstances. Or maybe it just wasn't the right fit for reasons completely unrelated to your worth. Put the rejection in perspective. Is it really make or break for your entire life? Usually not. Try to see it as a learning opportunity. Maybe there is useful feedback there about something you could adjust, but see it as feedback on behavior, not a judgment on your core self. And also, really importantly, keep pursuing other prospects. Don't let one no stop you.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Having other things going on, professional, social, personal goals, significantly lessens the sting of any single rejection. It reminds your brain, okay, this was just one thing. It's not the end of the world. And finally, always, always give yourself credit. Seriously. Acknowledge your own courage for putting yourself out there, for taking a risk, for trying, regardless of the outcome. That takes guts, and it's an accomplishment in itself.
That's such a powerful shift. Moving from why me to, okay, what did I learn and where do I go now?
Yeah.
So beyond this specific rejection, what's the bigger picture, the long-term opportunity that comes from navigating these experiences with intention? What's the ultimate takeaway for our growth?
Well, once that initial intense hurt starts to subside, rejection can honestly become this incredibly powerful opportunity for self-reflection and for opening up totally new paths. It might highlight unhealthy patterns you weren't fully aware of. Maybe in relationships, like, do you tend to miss red flags or get drawn to unavailable partners? Or maybe patterns in how you pursue goals.
Seeing the patterns.
Yes. Gaining that self-awareness allows you to understand yourself better and consciously change those behaviors going forward. Often rejection redirects you. It closes one door, but it might push you towards other doors, other paths, other opportunities that actually align better with who you truly are and what you really want. It could lead you to a more fulfilling life you wouldn't have even considered otherwise. It's a chance to pivot, to refine your direction, and ultimately to build a life that feels more authentically you. So I think the profound insight here is this. Rejection, yes, it's painful, undeniably, but it's also a universal human experience. And when you meet it with self-compassion, with mindful strategies, it can transform. It stops being just a setback and becomes this potent catalyst for growth, for resilience, and for a much deeper, richer understanding of yourself.
That's a really hopeful way to look at it. I really encourage everyone listening, maybe choose just one or two things we talked about today, one or two actionable insights from this deep dive, and just try to implement them this week. Remember, every no isn't necessarily a dead end. It could be a redirection. It might be a lesson, or maybe it's simply one more step on your own unique journey towards a yes that feels much more aligned and fulfilling for you.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. What if the greatest strength isn't actually found in managing to avoid rejection altogether? What if true strength lies in learning how to gracefully embrace it when it happens, seeing it as an inevitable, maybe even valuable part of your ongoing evolution?